Why don't you talk to us about how you became involved with the Page Society? How did that all develop? Start the beginning.
Well, it was Ed Block's idea that when we're going to break up the Bell system, he thought we didn't want to lose the Arthur Page legacy, if you want to call it that. And so it was his idea to set up a foundation or a society, and that the key members would be people from the Bell companies that were spun off, like the Jack Cotons of the world, people like that. So when I was transferred over there at his request, he asked me if I'd put together the thing. And so I worked with our lawyers, and we had a vice president out in Pennsylvania, Zimmerman, Zimmy, and we had our first annual meeting out there at the what do you call that inn out there in Hershey, at the Hershey Inn.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it just thought that what Arthur Page said and what was written was the way public relations ought to be done. And if we could get people to embrace that, the public relation profession could maybe get maximum respect. It's still tough sometimes, you know. PR is not always sitting on the elbow of the chief executive.
Right.
But we thought this would be a good one, and we would only allow people that were the top decision maker. We're not going to be like Public Relations Society of America, where if you're the newsletter editor, you can join.
Mm.
So we've kept it that way, and I never thought it would be very big, but it's now, what, 300?
It's more than that.
A little 300 and some.
350 maybe.
Yeah, so, but I think as more and more people have been exposed to the conferences and the kind of speakers we get.
Mm-hmm. And the publications.
And the publication. In fact, you know, some of our friends were the editors of that. Jim Brunson, you've probably heard his name. And then Ed Nieder and his wife. They did, you know, pro bono, really, they did it. We didn't have any money. I was the guy trying to get the money. You know, you'd get somebody say, can you get $1,000 out of your budget? And we didn't have a professional secretary at the time. We couldn't. So we did it all in-house. But I'm just delighted the way it's evolved. And the Bell system is a minor part now. I mean, lucky to have any ex-Bell people on there anymore, except I guess Coton may still be on.
Yes, Coton is on the Page
and
Center board.
Marilyn Laurie, I think, got involved, which is
Right.
good.
Right.
Dick Martin, is he?
I have a lot of videos of him interviewing
Yeah.
scads of people.
See,
Yes.
Dick Martin became the executive vice president, PR, for AT&T. He started with Western Electric.
Oh.
And he was one of the people we hired when I was there. And boom, there he is.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the others we hired was Kathy Fitzgerald, who became the head of public relations for the Bell Labs and Lucent, when it became Lucent, you know, Western Electric. And she was also hired by Western Electric. So the two top people in those two spin-offs, Lucent and AT&T, were ex-Western Electric people, quite a ways down the line when I retired, but we thought they were bright, and they were. They were great additions.
Yeah. What were those early meetings like with the Page Society?
Well, we had speakers, and then we had some of the, a few of these, I'll call them founders, you might say, or early, what do you call those people that are?
Pioneers?
Pioneer types, Harold Burson, Lou Harris, people like that. We'd get, because they were working for AT&T in the Bell system on occasion, we were able to get them. I had to have to look at the agenda to know which one, but they were there. We got a couple of academics on, and in fact, one of them at least is still there. He's up at Boston University now. Starts with a W.
Wright? Don
Yeah.
Wright?
Yeah, Don Wright, I think. Yeah. And so, you know, we had very intimate meetings, and but we didn't have major speakers the way you did. We didn't bring in CEOs and people like that. You had to get people that were somewhat allied with the business of public relations.
Now, it started out being mostly Bell
Oh yeah.
people.
If
How
it
did
hadn't,
that
I
change?
don't think it would have survived.
Right, but it changed then. Do you remember, were you involved in it when it started broadening?
Well,
How did that come about?
I think it came about when Larry Foster got involved, because he brought the right interest and the right background, you might say. And I would say, I don't know if he was the first non-Bell president of the Arthur Page Society, but if he wasn't, he was awful.
I think he was.
I think he was. And we talked about broadening it to get, and we had to get it beyond the Bell system and the old Bell system. And so we did, and then we got some non-Bell people on the membership committee so they could get the word out more, you know. And gradually then, after we started getting some quality programs, it just kept growing. And there was always a question of how many of these PR firms do you want, or should it all be corporate? But we broadened it out. What we're trying to do, communication, you know, that could be newsletters, it could be all kinds of little things. But everybody seems to be moving toward communication. But to me, public relations says it's public and it's out there, and that's what Arthur Page was talking about too. How do you deal with the press, with the public? You know, the Bell system always did a lot of work before rate cases to make sure the public understood the problem. We did a lot of that in our PR department when it was going to be bargaining, labor bargaining. We put some good stories in our house organs about how well people were doing that were in the bargaining unit. And, you know, it was just a good way to keep people posted on, you know, we're not starving to death, we're doing well, and bargaining's coming up. We didn't say anything about that, but it all tied together a little bit because there was a public feeling about it, or an employee feeling. You know, we had 210,000 employees at Western Electric at its height, which is a lot of folks.
That is.
Yeah. In fact, at one time when I was treasurer of the company, we had the 5th largest pension fund in the United States because of all these people. And I enjoyed that. That sort of was good training because we'd meet with the people that were investing our pension money, the bankers, people like that. So you learn a lot about dealing with people that way. So even though you didn't have a PR background in a sense, that was always very helpful, I think.
Right. Was there anything else that I haven't asked you that you want to talk about for a little bit?
No, I think the fact that Arthur Page Society has grown and is going in the direction it seems to be going is certainly says it was well worthwhile. And I think as public relations people are going to find bigger problems as time goes on. Having a place like this to go and a network of people you can talk to is great. I mean, you couldn't have done it in any other operation that was going that I know of. So, but No, I've well retired, so I don't have any opinions on some things anymore.